killing. They ever catch up to them fellas that done it?
2 of them.
Some of the best, less-known westerns. I'm returning to a theme today, taking a look at some of the lesser-known westerns.
I'm looking, but I don't see anything.
After looking into the comments from my viewers, I've compiled this video. See if yours is there.
You had a show what a fast son of a buck you are. Well, how come it didn't fire, Grant?
I really like looking for quality westerns that somehow didn't get as much notice as the bigger westerns. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Someone went after that Yankee cavalry. Sure, Major? Yes, I'm sure. Keep your men moving.
2 of them.
If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Like, share and subscribe. You know the drill. Let's get into it.
For a living legend,
We don't have to do this.
death is a way of...
Last Train from Gunhill, a 1959 western directed by John Sturges, stars Kirk Douglas, Anthony Quinn and Earl Holliman. Douglas and Holliman had previously appeared together in Sturges' Gunfight at the OK Corral, 1957, which used much of the same crew. Two old friends, Matt Morgan, Kirk Douglas, and Craig Belden, Anthony Quinn, now find themselves on opposite sides of the law. Belden, a rich cattle baron, is the de facto ruler of the town of Gunhill. Morgan is a US Marshal, living in another town with his Cherokee wife, played by Silver Lode, and young son Petey.
Come on, Morgan, draw! Lead, don't! Come on! Lead, don't!
The Proud Rebel, a 1958 western directed by Michael Curtiz, based on a story by James Edward Grant. The story of a widowed Confederate veteran and his mute son, who struggle to make a new life among hostile neighbours in the Midwest. Despite the implications of the title, The Proud Rebel does not dwell much on his Southern past, but finds his life complicated by sectional prejudice. Many of the Yankee male townfolk refer to him disdainfully. However, as Reb, while noting his proud refusal to compromise his values for any price. The film stars Alan Ladd, Olivia de Havilland, Dean Jagger, David Ladd, and Cecil Kellaway, and features Harry Dean Stanton. Singing Guns, a 1950 western directed by Left-Handed Gun, a 1958 western, and the film directorial debut of Arthur Penn, starring Paul Newman as Billy the Kid and John Dana as Pat Garrett. The screenplay was written by Leslie Stevens from a teleplay by Gore Vidal, which he wrote for the television series, the Philco Goodyear Television Playhouse 1955 episode, The Death of Billy the Kid, in which Newman, also played by the title character, Vidal, revisited and revised the material for the 1989 TV movie titled Billy the Kid. The title refers to the belief that Billy the Kid was left-handed, and he shoots left-handed in the film, though this was a false conclusion drawn from a reversed photograph. The film attempts to portray Billy the Kid as a misunderstood youth who got mixed up in a cattle war and was dragged down by the hostile population of New Mexico.
I'm asking you. Let him go.
They'll kill you.
They've been killing me.
What are you going to do?
I don't run, I don't hide. I go where I want. I do what I want.
The Silver Lode, a 1954 western directed by Alan Dwan, starring John Payne, Elizabeth Scott and Dan Duryea, with a similar plot to High Noon, tells the story of Dan Ballard, John Payne, and Rose Evans, Elizabeth Scott, who are about to be married on the 4th of July when Marshal Fred McCarthy, Dan Duryea, and his deputies ride into town looking for Ballard. McCarthy accuses Ballard of having murdered his brother and has come to arrest him. At first the townspeople are on Ballard's side, but gradually they turn against him, especially when they believe that he has killed the town sheriff, Emil Meyer. Ballard tries to prove his innocence and expose McCarthy.
I do believe you, Dan. Please be careful.
I thought so. You've taken my daughter. You've tried to kill my son. Now I'm turning you over to the law.
I'm leaving.
Step aside, Reverend.
Dan Ballard sought sanctuary in this church.
What sanctuary was there for those men that Ballard murdered? Come on. We're going in.
The Raid, a 1954 western set during the American Civil War, stars Van Heflin, Anne Bancroft, Richard Boone and Lee Marvin. Loosely based on a true incident, the St. Albans Raid, as well as the book by Herbert Ravenel Suss. However, the film made a significant change, turning the raid into the act of revenge for William Tecumseh Sherman's burning of Atlanta.
Won't do it. No matter what happens.
Hold him here. I'll be right back with a combination.
Yes, sir.
Smoke him after dinner.
Let's come.
I have a family, Mr. Anderson.
I forbid it. You can't.
Keep quiet, Pops. Clean it up.
90,000 cash.
Kavanaugh, burn it down.
We haven't got much time. Someone went after that Yankee cavalry.
Sure, Major?
Yes, I'm sure. Keep your men moving.
Why it had to be done? You think you'll be able to forgive him for that?
7 Men From Now, a 1956 western directed by Bud Bodicher, starring Randolph Scott, Gail Russell and Lee Marvin. The film was written by Burt Kennedy and produced by John Wayne's Bat Jack Productions. Ex-sheriff Ben Stride tracks the 7 men who held up a Wells Fargo office and killed his wife. Stride is tormented by the fact that his failure to keep his job was the reason his wife was working in the express office, so he is responsible for her death. Stride meets a married couple heading west to California and assists them. They are joined by 2 travelers, Masters and Cleet, who know that Stride is after the express office robbers. They plan to let Stride lead them to the bandits, then take the loot themselves, but they aren't the only ones carrying a secret.
That killing. They ever catch up to them fellas that done it?
2 of them.
The Tall T, a 1957 western directed by Bud Bodicher, starring Randolph Scott, Richard Boone, and Maureen O'Sullivan.
His only
adapted
daughter.
by Burt Kennedy from the
supposed to pay to get her
1955
back?
short story The Captives by Elmore Leonard, about an independent former ranch foreman who was kidnapped along with an heiress, who was being held for ransom by 3 ruthless outlaws. In 2000, the Tall T was selected for the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
Did you love him?
I married him?
That's not what I asked. Did you love him?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Mrs. Mims, you're a liar. How many does that make?
He was the 7th.
When you figure on 8 and 9.
Tomorrow morning before we leave, you can count it.
The Tin Star, a 1957 Western based on a short story, directed in VistaVision by Anthony Mann, starring Henry Fonda and Anthony Perkins, one of Perkins' first roles. The film became one of the few low-budget westerns to be nominated for the Oscar for Best Writing, Story or Screenplay. Since its release, the film has become one of the cult classics of the genre. The supporting cast features Betsy Palmer, Neville Brand, John McIntyre, and Lee Van Cleef.
What's wrong, Mr. King?
Who's that man?
I don't know. Hickman. Morgan Hickman.
Better take his gun. He's killed someone.
You won't need to take my gun. Won't need this anymore either. Luke Jamerson. Murder and robbery. $500 reward.
Oh, bounty hunter.
Yep. I tracked down Jamerson. He tried to shoot it out. Fair fight. You won't find any bullet holes in his back. You don't like outlaws brought in dead?
Our officers of the law bring in their prisoners alive.
Your office of the law didn't bring in Jamerson at all. I'm not the law. I work inside it for money. Same as you do if you're in a legal business.
I believe the banking business is legal. I'm also mayor. My friends here are businessmen, except for Judge Thatcher and Dr. McCord.
Would you hold this, Sheriff? I'd like to talk to Bogardus.
Gunfighters Moon, a 1995 Western produced by Douglas Curtis, directed by Larry Ferguson and starring Lance Hendrickson, Kay Lenz, and David McIlraith. Also appearing are Nikki DeLoche, Ivan Sergey, and James Victor. Calling Frank Morgan a gunfighter is like calling the desert dry. A veteran gunfighter is summoned to Red Pine in Wyoming by a former lover, wanting to protect her new husband, a storekeeper who is temporarily town sheriff, from outlaws who want to free one of their members being held for killing the lawman's predecessor during a bank robbery. What the gunfighter is unaware of is that he is the father of a teenage girl. She also doesn't know. Thanks for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate likes, shares, and subscribers. Drop me your comments. I am Wrangler. Bye for now.
What did you tell her? I hate you. You could just leave it alone.
In a time when law had no order.
You're professional gunmen.
You're a dead man already.
A gunfighter has no choice.
Go by yourself, Frank?
And only one chance.
Let's get this over with.
Lance Hendrickson.
Interesting facts about famous people.